Imagine this. You keep replacing your mailbox over and over again, but it just keeps getting destroyed, smashed by the same white HOA patrol cars. That's exactly what happened to a rancher named Curtis Delaney, out on FM 89 near Abilene, Texas. For a while, he just took it on the chin, chalked it up to bad luck. But after the fifth time, something in him snapped. He decided, you know what? Enough is enough. And what started as a simple mailbox war spun out into a battle that reached the courtroom, split the whole neighborhood, and turned Curtis into a kind of legend whether he wanted it or not. It always started with the sound. Curtis would be in his barn, working on a piece of equipment, when he'd hear this sharp crack echoing across his property like a gunshot. But hollower. He wouldn't even have to look up. He already knew what it was. Another patrol SUV had flattened his mailbox. Again, he'd step out into the Texas sun, wipe the sweat from his forehead, and sure enough, there it was. The brand new mailbox, barely 2 weeks old, now folded in half, hanging open like a busted jaw. Meanwhile, the patrol car would just roll on, slow down for a second, like maybe to admire their handiwork, then keep driving. Now, Curtis isn't the type to complain about small stuff. He's 52, worked the oil fields, built this ranch himself. It's not a huge property, but it's his pride and joy. So every time that mailbox went down, he just fixed it at first. But after replacing it 4 times in 6 months, each one costing him money, each one taking hours to set up, he started to feel like the joke was on him. And every time he raised it at HOA meetings, people would look at him like he was the problem, not the victim. He'd hear, "Those roads are tight. Curtis, accidents happen." Or, "Maybe you should move the post back a few feet." Nobody seemed to care. Neighbors noticed, though. Janice across the street, Sherman at the grocery store, everyone had seen his mailboxes getting crushed, while their own stayed untouched for years. One day, Sherman leaned in close at the Abilene feed store and said, "You challenged the HOA about that fence rule last year, didn't you?" That stuck with Curtis. Maybe this wasn't about bad driving. Maybe it was personal. Maybe the HOA was sending him a message for not playing along. Curtis tried to let it go, sat on his porch at night, told his wife Renee he'd just ride it out. But he couldn't. Every new mailbox felt like bait, waiting for the next patrol car to flatten it. And he started to realize letting it go just wasn't in his nature. He'd been taught to stand his ground, even if it ruffled feathers. So late one night, out in his shop, he started sketching planned steel beams, bolts, concrete, the works. If they wanted to keep hitting his mailbox, fine. But this time, the mailbox would hit back. But before he could even get started, the HOA held another meeting. Same old story. Gregory Winslow, silver-haired, sitting up at the front like he owned the place. Curtis stood up and said his piece loud enough for the whole room. 5 mailboxes in less than a year. Patrol cars. Every time. You call that an accident? Winslow shrugged. Said, "Accidents happen. Curtis, maybe you should move it back." Pamela from the board chimed in. "Maybe it's a placement." But Curtis wasn't having it. It's not placement. It's not luck. Either your patrols are reckless or they're aiming for it. And either way, I'm the one paying. The crowd was splitsome, nodding along. Others just try not to get involved. Back home, the rumors started flying. Curtis heard it all. He's just a troublemaker. Why doesn't he let it go? Edith, the neighbor who never missed a chance to gossip, told him, "You're picking fights over a mailbox." Curtis just smiled. It's not about the mailbox. It's about respect. If it was your fence or your porch, would you let go? Even Renee worried he was stirring up more trouble than it was worth. But Curtis just told her, "At least if I stand my ground, I'm doing it on my terms." Word spread about his plan, a mailbox made of steel, disguised with cedar, sunk 3 feet in concrete. Sherman came by and said, "You really going to build a tank?" Curtis grinned. Close enough. When he finally finished, the thing looked ordinary, but inside it was pure fortress. First night, Curtis sat on his porch and waited. He didn't have to wait long. Thursday afternoon, patrol car comes barreling down the road, clips the mailbox, and this time the sound isn't the usual crunch. It's a heavy, solid thud. Curtis runs out, and there's the patrol SUV. Hood smashed in, steam hissing out, but the mailbox? Not a scratch. The driver's stunned. Curtis just says, "It's a mailbox." Neighbors come out, some laughing, others whispering about lawsuits. Gregory shows up, all red in the face, shouting about hazards and safety violations. Curtis stands his ground. "I didn't break any laws. I just got tired of being run over." But the HOA isn't done. They file a lawsuit on safe obstruction. Public hazard. The works. Curtis et Maxime Porter, a tough attorney from Abilene. And the whole community gets dragged into the drama. Some people back Curtis. Others say he's dangerous. The case never makes it to trial. Too much attention. Too much pushback. And the HOA drops the lawsuit. Curtis wins. And that mailbox? Still standing. Maybe some folks see it as stubbornness. Others as common sense. But to Curtis, it's a monument not just to winning an argument, but to the idea that you don't have to let yourself be pushed around. You stand your ground. You draw your line. And sometimes, that's how you earn respect. So if you've ever been bulldozed by neighbors, by the HOA, by anyone, remember Curtis's story. Sometimes you gotta build your own indestructible mailbox. And when you do, don't be afraid to let it stand for something bigger than itself. If this hit home, subscribe for more. Stand tall, stand firm, and don't let anybody run you over.